Welcome, everybody. These are our free Keeper Q&As. We do these every month just to get to explore new features, ask questions, brainstorm, any of the following. So today we're going to be highlighting Keeper emails, give you a look behind the scenes of what features there are built in right now, what kind of a daily workflow looks like, and just be able to see it and look around before you decide if you want to do it. I know there's a lot of people that are still kind of letting it bake and are not 100% sure if they want to hop in yet. So this is just a way to kind of get a preview, ask some questions, maybe pick up some tips if you are using it. And that being said, if you have not met us before, or if this is your first time on, hi, hello, welcome. We're so excited to have you. We started this consulting business from having our own businesses, from working in bookkeeping, that sort of thing. And then now we just get to nerd out about Keeper. We just get to spend all of our time figuring out what works, new features, exploring, figuring out what everybody else in the community is doing, and just troubleshooting so that we can help shorten that learning curve and also help troubleshoot and answer questions. So that is all about us. Now, one thing that's really, really important to us is not to add extra pressure to yourself. So on calls like these, sometimes, we have people from all over the spectrum from we're getting prep from your first client all the way to 150 plus clients, and then everywhere along the Keeper spectrum as well, from I'm just hearing about it, I'm kind of exploring it, all the way to this is the only tool I use. So because of that spectrum, be careful about adding more shoulds to your plate. Just think about these things as options that you can add or sprinkle in or integrate in your own way. So be really, really careful about adding extra pressure to yourself. Summer tends to be one of those that we're all working on extra projects, but be careful about how much you add to your list. And especially if you feel that pull of, oh my gosh, I'm just scratching the surface and it feels a little bit panicky. That's one that we want to check and just make sure that we're not adding extra, but we're thinking about these as opportunities that we could add if they align with our goals, with our business, all those kind of things. So always want to make sure before we go in, before we start talking about stuff, that we're at least centering into, hey, we don't have a perfect Keeper account and this is all we do. So you have permission to fall anywhere that feels comfortable for you and add extra sprinkles as we go along.
Absolutely. Just consider what we show you today is just inspiration, and take from it whatever sounds good to you. But as Erica mentioned, today we're going to be taking a deeper look at Keeper emails, how to set it up, the key features of that, and then we're going to jump into the demo and really show you more about how it works, and give you guys a really good look into that, so that you can see if that's something that you want to integrate or if you want to keep things as is for yourself. One thing to keep in mind is that you are welcome to ask questions anytime. We will open everything up at the end for the Q&A, but we'll go through our quick demo here, like the information about Keeper emails. We'll go through that, but please drop your questions into the chat at any point whenever they come up. Go ahead and drop them in. We always make sure that we circle back to any that are asked throughout the whole presentation here. So please drop your questions in anytime. And with that, we will dive in. So Keeper emails is a newer feature. It's an add-on that you can do. The key pieces of this feature, it's a full email integration. That means that you can read, respond to, compose emails directly inside of Keeper. So instead of having to have your Gmail or your Outlook open in a separate window, you can now access that from Keeper directly. Within this, you still have the ability to do team collaboration. There's spaces and ways to add comments, to be able to communicate internally. You can add tasks, create new tasks, attach emails to existing tasks, assign team members. All of that is included and incorporated in with Keeper emails as well. And a nice benefit of this and having it all in one place is you've got increased visibility. So even across multiple inboxes, multiple email addresses, you can have a shared email history, where all the client-related emails are in one place. So it just really helps to add that visibility there. One thing to keep in mind here is that this is a premium feature. So if you have a standard Keeper account, this is not included, but this is part of the premium features.
So, like Judy mentioned, this is a way to not have to open up Gmail or Outlook and to have some of that in there and then to be able to build off of it. So, you have a separate tab. We have clients, we have templates, we have all of the other tabs that we're used to, but now we'll have inbox as well. So, we have Jody, if you'll go to the next one, we actually have a couple of options as far as how we see those emails. So we can choose to have it as like a side panel where you can have the list on the side and then a preview. So it's all in one screen. Or we can have it a little bit closer to anybody who's used to Gmail, where you have the list, and then when you click on one, it opens up into full screen. So just kind of making it accessible to anybody, whatever style you would prefer. And then from there, we can go into some of those other features. So
Well, and
just
just
like
go ahead.
you're good. Just like with Gmail or Outlook, you can use a labeling or folder system. Now, each system calls it something different, but either way, we can tag emails or nest them within folders, which is really cool. So this borrows from that existing Gmail or Outlook structure that you already have built, just brings it into Keeper so that as you're going through your inbox, you can sort and do whatever you would like to as far as tagging or labeling.
And as we mentioned, you have ability to comment on emails for internal communication. So this is just like on our tasks in Keeper or reports in Keeper, the accounts there, you can comment back and forth with team members. You can do the same thing right here in emails as well. And this is all internal. It's just housed right below that email, a way for you to have that internal communication. This is not seen by any of your clients. It is all internal. It's kind of like the way I like to look at it is if you had printed out the email and you're passing it around the office and you slap a sticky note on top of it, it's just what your team members can see. Um, so those comments are available within this as well, where you can tag each other and go back and forth before responding to the client or taking action if needed. And when you are ready to take action, you can create tasks. So you can, we'll show you in the demo, but you can click to add a new task or you can use the features up here to connect it to an existing task as well. But bottom line is you can take this email and attach it to a task. So in the client view, when you're looking at that task item, you can easily see and reference. You can click on that email here and reference it when you are ready to do the work that's needed there. So it's nice to have like a full circle. Everything's connected and easy to access.
And this also means that if there's a thread, um, you still get to see that whole entire thread. So if there's back and forth and team members need that full context, you don't have to worry about, well, it's just one single email that they get to see. It's the entire thread for any back and forth, any attachments, anything like that. Now, quick mention here. I think with any email platform, there's going to be challenges with how we process through. So some of us, depending on our scope and what we have implemented with our clients, have a faster response time. Others of us don't. But either way, be careful not to spend your entire day in your inbox. It's super easy to do. This is no different than if you were just doing it in Gmail or Outlook. If anything, it's on the same platform with your tasks. So just be careful because it's really easy to see that number tick up, to go over there to respond to that email. And you can easily get caught in the, oh, just one more email. Oh, there's just one more trap. So that can happen, whatever email platform you're using. Keeper is no different on that. So just be really mindful about how you're going about this. And if you are trying to figure out what that boundary or balance is, one thing that we like to do internally, and we've seen a lot of people do, is time block. So maybe your first 30 minutes of the day or whatever is getting everything sorted on emails and kind of doing a triage. Or maybe that's your last before you clock out for the day. Maybe that's your lunch time when you're getting back into the zone after lunch, right? You can schedule that wherever you would like. Maybe that's a little bit more flexible, but we like to do a bit of a triage approach, is what a lot of people call it. So it's like, hey, let me spend some time reviewing. Let me sort them however I need to, tag in other team members, delegate, do whatever I need to get them in the right priority level. Maybe this is where you use a different like labeling system for action needed or ongoing conversation or completed. You can do whatever you would like to make it clear on what you need to actually prioritize and respond to and what's just like informational, and we can sort it away. And then maybe you come back and take action at a separate time, if you run out of time or if you need to circle back or anything like that. So there are plenty of ways to go about this. This is not a how-to on how to process your emails, but if you tend to struggle, try time blocking and try a bit of a more like sorted approach where you're just tackling a chunk of this at a time. You're not reviewing, sorting, and taking action all in the same block, because sometimes that can be the issue that makes this a 3-hour time commitment accidentally.
Yeah. Another tip here is to be clear, especially with your expectations with between you and your clients, and even with your team members as well. Make sure that everybody's on the same page and knows where to put questions, when to send that in an email, and when you want them using the client portal. So being clear on that will help to actually improve your efficiencies as you're going through your client communication as well.
Exactly. And this is one that we've seen a lot of like questions and best practices come up in the community, is like, okay, so now I have emails, but now my clients are not using the portal and they're just emailing me with everything. So just be careful about how we explain that to clients, where we want to go with that, and just making some internal boundaries ourselves so that, like Jody said, we can kind of distill that information to our team, and kind of provide best practices. This is one of those that if you have a client that like is refusing to use the portal, maybe email is our best bet. So it's at least all in Keeper and I can do things accordingly. But just be mindful about that, because that can become an area where it gets to be a question mark for the client if we're not explicitly clear of, hey, I may send you an email. These are okay to respond to, or these have sensitive info. I need you to respond in the portal, right? So just making that clear for you will make it also clear for your clients, and kind of help with that muddy line that can sometimes happen if we have the client portal and we're also responding in email.
Yeah. And you can always include a reminder like thing in the bottom part of your signature or something like that, or as part of the client portal announcements or something like that too, as reminders of when to use each. We've seen those as examples as well. But with that client email history, so everything gets gathered and collected based on your client contacts in your on your client page. When you're looking at the portal, we've got an email history over here, and that's going to gather everything for the client contacts that are in there. So you'll have a full history in here, including all the threads, any comments back and forth. All of that is still visible in here. But if you are a firm that's using multiple inboxes, this helps to kind of gather everything into one place. And this is something that you can limit by team member. So we'll show you where you can change and update that access. But it's just nice to be able to have things all in one place to be able to go back and have that history.
Yeah, and just to paint a really clear distinction, the inbox, just like a Gmail inbox, is where everything is going to come through. But depending on the contacts that you have saved for each client, Keeper will help auto sort into your email history. If you're on the client page and looking at, hey, what did we send? Or did this auto reminder go out? Anything that comes through the inbox that has those contacts will show up in the email history. So you can have that full experience and also not have to like, Keeper will help auto sort that into the email history for just that client if needed.
Yeah. And I know we've had already had some questions come through about setting this up and costs and that kind of thing. So this is actually what we're getting into right now is how do we set this up? So again, as Keeper premium users, you will have on your client portal tab within your practice settings, this branding tab here. From there, you'll go to practice emails and you'll need to have a practice email set up in here. Now, something that they have updated recently is that you can have more than one practice email. So if you have multiple inboxes, multiple email accounts that you're using to communicate with your clients, you are able to add multiple practice emails in here as well. And you can have one set as your default, and then you can have those additional options as well if needed. So that's going to be again in your practice settings under client portal and branding is where you will enter in the email addresses that you want to include. From
Exactly. And
there, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add while we're on this, the what was our firm email address or our practice email is now, if you are a premium user, lumped into the fee, right? So we don't have an extra cost or anything for that. It's the additional practice emails that are going to stack into that like $10 extra a month. So if
Yeah.
anybody is confused on pricing, if you have a team at or an info at or a support at, right? That base email, that practice email, we can go ahead and include that without having any extra. But if we wanted to include Erica at or Jody at or something like that, that's where we can add additional, and that's where that additional cost will come from. So just want to make sure that was really clear for like, how does that look for most people? That practice is that default team at, support at, whatever, but you can add additionals as needed.
Right. And so once you've got them added here, and this is just for your practice ones, this is not for your individuals. We'll get there. But for the practice emails, this is where you'll enter those in, and then you're going to click on that inbox to come in here to be able to connect them. And right now, Keeper can connect with Gmail and with Outlook. So if you have other services, reach out to Keeper to talk with them to see if and when they may be offering support for additional email platforms. But for right now, email or Gmail and Outlook. So one that first practice email is included. And that's going to be down here in this practice section. If you try to connect up here in the top, that is seen as a personal inbox, and that is where additional fees begin. So down here, this one practice email is free, included in that Keeper Premium. And then any additional practice email inboxes below that will be an added fee, or the personal inboxes will be an added fee. So when you're ready to connect, you just come here to inbox. You'll have this not connected button here, and you just click on to walk through logging in and getting that synced there.
Yep. And this is one of those that the Keeper team has reinforced multiple times like, hey, reach out to us if you have questions. If this gets
Yes.
confusing, if you're like, hey, I think I set this up, but now it's showing up as a personal and I meant it to be a practice, there's a lot of this that gets a little bit hairy when it comes to setup. So that's one, go down into the bottom of your Keeper account on any page, use that little chat bubble and just let them know what the issue is. Or if you have additional questions about pricing, that's one that they've reinforced like, hey, ask us anything because we want the feedback and we want to know how to help.
Yes. And then as far as access, you can determine who has access to all of these pieces here. So again, within your practice settings, you're going to go to manage users, and then there is now a Keeper emails tab to click on. Here you can give people access to have the personal inboxes. If you check this, it is going to pop up with a notification that says this is going to be an additional fee. That fee will start when the inbox is connected. Um, so you'll see that as you go through here. But you can choose who has access to add their personal inboxes in and what that email address is going to look like. Practice inboxes, who has access to those, and even the client email history, who has access to see that. You can choose here. what visibility and what access your team members have. And yes, they could have access to the email history without having access to the inboxes. Um, so that's where those will be set up. All right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dive into the demo to give you guys a little bit more visibility on how all of this works. So real quick, just to show you what this is going to look like under Manage Users, Keeper Emails. If I were to select Personal Inbox, it's going to pop up with this to let you know what's going to happen. And it gives you the opportunity to confirm whether you want to do that or to cancel. And again, you can turn on and off the access here as well. And this is where Erica was mentioning about the different views that we have. So you've got, this is the side-by-side view. Um, and I can click to see that. Or if you click this little button here, you can switch the view to more of a thread here or list view. And then you click to open, view it, and then you can go back to select another one. You've got labels on the side here that you can use. If I want to, I can drag and drop to put that in my folder.
The only other thing that I wanted to highlight, because it's there on the page, but I missed it for a very long time. So in case anybody else is in the same boat, you can also search in here. So that bar up at the top, and you can go through sent or things like that. So just easy reminder that that is up there. Some of us may be using this as our primary email, or that's what we're going to. Some of us are more using this for, hey, I'm going to process in my usual inbox, but if there's anything that I need to add a task to, I want to come into Keeper, search it, use it that way. So again, full spectrum of how you want to use this. But if you are just trying to look and find that specific email to go back to check on a task, to add a task to, anything like that, use that search because it is pretty robust.
And we didn't highlight these in the slides, but you do also have a way of filtering. So you can filter by contact, by contacts, by content, and then you can also save filtered views here as well. So there's a lot depending on what volume you have in here, depending on how you're using it. There are some added shortcuts and tools to help making managing emails even better. You can see like these are the tags that are on it, client communication, inbox, action needed. So if you were using filters or that kind of thing, these are the labels that are going to help filter through that. So depending on how you have things set up, you might see additional ones in there. And this is going to mimic whatever is in your current Gmail or Outlook, whatever folders, labels that you have set up in there, you will see that mirrored here. You don't have to set up, you don't have to redo all of that inside of Keeper. It's going to pull it in when you connect your inbox there. You can see
Absolutely.
that we've got comments down below.
Yep. And remember, comments are internal. I'm glad that they had this not visible to client and it's yellow. So it's a little bit more distinct. But this is how we can go back and forth. Again, just like commenting anywhere in Keeper, you can do that at and then list out their name and click on it to tag that team member. So this is a really nice way to kind of like pass it off in between people or ask questions before you respond, right? So if there's something like, hey, where are we with these financials before I respond back to the client, we can have that internal sidebar before we actually respond. So I love that being below and still having the same functionality as commenting anywhere else within Keeper.
And just like any traditional, you can reply, you can forward, all of that is in here and it keeps it in the thread for you.
One thing that's important to note while we're here, and one of the questions that came in is how do we delete,
Mhm.
right? So we have an archive, we have add tasks, we have labels, we have all mark unread, all of those that we're familiar with. At this point in Keeper's existence, we cannot delete, we can archive. So that may be one of those make or break features for you. It is for a lot of people. So don't feel bad if that's the one thing that we're hanging on to before we implement Keeper emails or anything, but just want to be fully transparent that that actual deleting, if you have spam or something like that, is not available. We can archive here within Keeper.
Across the top here, so if you already have a task associated with this and you need to link it, you're going to click on the ellipses here, the three dots to link task to email, and then you can search for that task and connect it here. If you don't have one, but you need one, you can click to add a new task. Hey. You can link to, or you can add the new task. You can select which client you want that to go to, what section you want that to be in, all of those details, the due date, who it's assigned to, all of it you can build out here and save. And when you do that, it does link it directly.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's actually, if you don't mind, let's go to
Sure.
that task just so we can show exactly what that looks like and how it shows up on our client page where we're used to seeing our tasks.
Okay, I didn't actually set a task for this one.
I have one for the client demo receipt, so you should be good.
Yeah, I'll go to this one. So when you do have it linked or attached, so whether you created it from here or you linked it from here, once you've done that, you can see the little difference here. Like, yep, you know that that means that there's attachments to this one. But this little check mark and one means that there's a task associated with this as well. You see that at the top here. And you're also going to see it down below. You can click on that to open it, and you can actually go to the close here. And you can see the email is here as well and clickable.
If you have multiple email addresses coming into Keeper, so let's say you have your practice one and then you have like your personal one, um, how how do we select which email address that's coming from when we're selecting an email? So I can give you the answer here. I won't have an example because our
Yeah, I
demo is
can't
only
show
set
you.
up with one. Exactly. But I can help give instructions on what that would look like. So, Jody, from this email, if you will, yep, perfect. So, what we did was hit reply or forward. You'll have from, and that's where if you have multiple addresses set up, you'll be able to choose from those that are set up for which one it's replying from. So,
Yeah.
that'll be your
You'll have one
option
that's a
where,
default.
yep,
So whatever you
exactly.
have set as your default is what you'll always see here, but then click on it and then you can select. If you have additional ones, there'll be options here for you to be able to choose which
Yep.
one.
So that default will always be the practice email address, right? So that's what's going to auto pop up. If you don't change anything, then you'll have the options in the dropdown to select who that's coming from if you want it to come from a team member instead of the team app or whatever that looks like for you. So, about where to go next, we have these each and every month highlighting a different feature or a different area of Keeper. So, you can always go back to our YouTube playlists to go find previous ones if you wanted to look at onboarding or metrics or anything like that that we've covered before. Or you can come to the next one to join live and troubleshoot your questions. We do have an additional like freebies page on our website. So it's just hughesandstrong.com/keeper. If you want to see any free templates that we have, or go and see a couple of fun PDFs about how to set up your client portal, anything like that, that can be kind of the next step if you're like, ooh, I really like this. Let's learn more about Keeper and kind of some of the more extra sprinkles things. And then from there, we did kind of half-heartedly mention, hey, if you need to hop on for a troubleshooting call on Zoom, definitely let us know. But we do have full service. So whether that is, I need you to train my team because I still don't know what I'm doing in Keeper and I don't want to tell them wrong, we can come in and be a cheerleader for best practices, how to navigate. We can take a look at your account if you want kind of a diagnostic review instead of a diagnostic on your books, a diagnostic on your Keeper. And then we do plenty of things like, hey, I am just super swamped and I don't have time to reassign all of these tasks, or I need to go in and clean up a couple of years where I wasn't really using Keeper well and I have a bunch of backlog tasks. We do have templates if you need kind of a help me get started kind of thing, or we can do full hands-on setup if you're like, I don't want, I want Keeper set up, but I don't want to do any of the clicking. So wherever you land on that spectrum, we are absolutely here to help and be an extra set of eyes when it comes to Keeper.